I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, movie fans, and welcome to Screen Snark, a show that celebrates the movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm missing you in the physical, corporeal form.
I know,
It's been a long time.
It's just I'm on the last day of my vacation, and Astoria and Brooklyn are very far.
They are very far apart.
Yes.
And I appreciate all that you do when you do travel. So
Yeah. It's always nice to see your house and give you hugs.
I appreciate your hugs very much.
But cabs be expensive.
That's true. And there is currently
And there's
cab
a strike.
Yeah.
So,
And we're
yeah.
no scabs.
no.
You could say a lot about Screen Snark, but we're no scabs.
No, we love screens, not scabs.
Exactly. That could be our new slogan. I hear that other show you do.
Now,
is looking
now
for a new
very
slogan.
leftist in our leanings here on Screen Snark.
Right, as if we weren't before. Before we get into our spiel, I want to introduce our guest, which is the incredible Sarah Storm. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. You're a little biased.
I mean, you happen to
Oh.
be my spouse. I celebrate you every day. It was Rachel's turn to celebrate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
And so you know how this goes, and we're going to talk more about Sarah and her acting and all of the cool stuff that she does in a little
Hell
bit.
yeah.
But of course, the first thing we're going to talk about is the movies we've seen.
Yes.
And I finally saw a movie that was in my DNA to see, and it is a shame it took so long for me to see. And it is the smash hit, I believe, of 2018, The Meg.
The Meg, that's about the shark, right?
The giant megalodon, yeah. So
Okay.
it's a Jason Statham vehicle.
Oh, boy.
And if the internet isn't already familiar, although I've been shouting it for days, I am very attracted to Jason Statham, and will watch anything he's in, because
Very
at some
good.
point he will be not wearing a shirt, and it is worth it. But yeah, it's an action-y disaster movie about a giant shark, so think Jaws, but like 1,000 times bigger.
Yeah. Have you ever heard that Lemon Demon song, Jaws? It's just...
Yes.
Ugh, it's so good. He was in a movie. You should watch it. It's called Jaws. Just like, nah, man. You stop it. Lemon Demon, you stop it. Was the Meg better or worse than the Lemon Demon song Jaws?
I'd say it's on par.
On par. Okay, so I'd love it because I do love that song about Jaws.
So the funny thing about The Meg is it's not a masterpiece by any means, but it's what you expect out of a disaster/action movie that's starring Jason Statham.
Very cool.
The supporting cast was great. I really liked them all. There was a lot of character in the movie. The best actor in the whole movie was a young girl who was like the daughter of one of the main scientists, who spent half the movie calling Jason Statham crazy guy.
Ooh.
And like he was charming with the child, and like it was a fun action-y movie where also he falls for a girl and doesn't sleep with her immediately. Like it's like more about developing a relationship and
Wow.
the women in the movie having agency for the most part.
Yeah, good job, shark movie.
Sarah, you haven't seen The Meg, have you?
Sorry, no, I have not.
I didn't think so. I just want you to know that you can participate in the other parts of the
Okay,
conversation.
thank you.
It's not just about me.
Yeah.
I love cheesy, and I love dystopian fiction, both cheesy and not cheesy, though less with every passing day. And I love a good, like, my cheesy action flicks of, like, if you wanted to show me Tank Girl, I will watch Tank Girl 87 times.
Very good.
That is my like baseline requirement, is there need to be combat boots and a woman carrying a lot of action-y gear. And
I mean, there were
driving
women
the
with
action.
action-y gear in this, but it was more.
But are they in charge?
Or
Or are they
really.
fomenting revolution?
Well, so
I too am a leftist.
Yes. Well, so the head, like the big corporate overlord, was played by Rainn Wilson, and he gets it in the end. Spoiler alert, because he's a dick in this.
Spoilers for the Meg, Matt.
I know.
We're watching Star Trek Discovery finally.
Ooh, yeah, I
So
started it.
I got CBS. We got CBS All Access, so
Very
that
cool.
I could watch my an acquaintance's show, The Red Line, which is also fantastic.
Ooh.
And then I was like, I can watch $1, which I've been waiting to see, and Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
And then I was introduced to Sonequa Martin Green and Mary Wiseman, and my heart will never be the same. But then also Rainn Wilson is there, and I'm bringing it back around.
to Rainn Wilson.
Yeah.
Rainn Wilson, who apparently has Dwight Schrute was not like an outlier. He's like this Rainn Wilson, by all accounts, is like a fairly affable, mellow, kind person who really loves to play terrible people, and I love that about him.
He's very good at it too.
He's so good at it.
As far as plot goes for the Meg, it's scientists make discovery. Discovery leads to... So the discovery is the Barrier Reef, I believe it is. I think it's the Barrier Reef. It's a famous oceanic area. They think where the floor is not actually the floor. It's actually a cloud of cold air and like fog that you can penetrate. And when you do, there's a whole other life underneath it. And supposedly there are all these prehistoric fish under there. And Jason Statham plays a rescue diver with baggage because he had to abandon friends to save everyone else, and because a sub gets attacked randomly and explodes, and everyone thinks he's crazy.
Spider-Man of him.
He's. I will say that the two guys he leaves behind are the only African American characters, so that was a problem.
No.
But the rest of the cast was also, they weren't the only African American characters. Let me rephrase that. But they were. The two guys left behind were African American, and so I was kind of like, eh. But the cast is actually very diverse, so I forgive it a little, but it's still not good.
There are so many conversations to be had about the disposability of certain bodies, and
I absolutely understand.
Not gonna watch.
Okay, I think that's not a good reason to just not watch it outright, because there's more to it, but you can do as you will. But all I'm saying is, it was not free of problems. It was not a perfect movie. Jason Statham iconically plays a fairly kind of white savory character. The good thing is that he's not the only one doing the saving in this movie. Is that actually two of the lead female characters get to save him also at one point or another. So like, he's not Superman in this. He is fallible and does need rescuing. And most of the movie is about watching a giant shark tear havoc across the ocean, boats, beaches.
So, I love sharks in actual nature, but movie sharks are a lot to me like movie zombies. Just to say,
they're not real.
I know that they're not real, but I have an overactive imagination.
That's fair. I mean, the Meg was terrifying. Although I will say the good thing about the CG in the Meg is that like it looked real, or as real as a giant shark would. Beyond that, plot points are very forgettable.
Okay.
There's character growth, but beyond that, it's like, this action thing happens, and then there's a recovery period, and then they form a plan, and the plan fails, and then they form another plan. It's not an inventive movie, but again, it had the actiony, cheesy stuff that I like, and so for me, I enjoyed it. But I would only recommend it to people who want a break from large cinematic universes and overthinking dramatic movies. If you want to kind of turn your brain off and enjoy a thing, this is a good movie.
Now, Matt, I have a question.
Sure.
Have you or have you not seen Sharknado?
I have. I've seen
You
Sharknado
have? Okay.
1 and 2, I believe.
Was The Meg better or worse than Sharknado?
Way better than Sharknado.
Way better than Sharknado. I feel like I'd like this movie.
I think you would. So the difference, though, is Sharknado, you're enjoying it because it's so bad. This actually has some good acting in it, actually has some fun scenes in it.
Cool.
But all in all, it's still a fairly average movie in concept. So, yeah. Thoughts,
Love it.
Sarah?
Oh no, I'm just going back to like, honestly, we've had a lot of conversations about I'm still stuck on the first point. Like, we've had a lot of conversations about fridging to motivate characters and things.
Yeah.
And I honestly, at this point, it's 2019. And if a movie sort of casually and callously treats certain bodies as disposable over other bodies, then like, there's a lot of content out there. I only have so many hours.
Sure.
And I'm giving it a hard pass. Just, I I don't want to engage with that.
You have no
acceptable.
reason to have to.
Yeah.
I again noted the problem. I'm aware of it. Can't go back and unwatch it.
No,
But,
I'm not saying that you have to. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's.
But
your
There
review
really
is
should
giving-
be like a reference guide to like, is fridging the reason for a thing?
right.
You know,
It would. I feel
like
like if-
.com.
I would. It would be amazing. I think, and it might exist. We should find.
Yeah.
I put all my devices away so that I could not be distracted during this conversation because we're already on like the third thing I would search if I could.
Right.
But I think that would be amazing because honestly, there's a fair amount of stuff where like I get like. This is not the first time that I've heard about something. They're like, well, maybe I would give it a try. And then it's like they do something. It's not that I'm like, oh, they did a bad thing and now I can't engage with them.
Sure.
It's that I'm really every day trying to get more rigorous in my interrogation of like what gets my eyeballs.
Right.
Yeah.
And therefore my advertising dollars, like they're going to get a little bit of, they're going to get a tiny rev share of whatever service, like they'll get paid for whatever
Yeah,
service you watched it on.
they're gonna follow your algorithm, and if you've watched all of season 2 of Sabrina, they're gonna be like, oh, you must like this because you watched the whole
Right.
season, even if you watched it.
Well, and they're going to get paid, and the people who the people who created the thing are going to get paid for the
Yeah.
thing that you watched. And like, this is not me saying we should never watch things that are problematic because like everything at this
Yeah.
point
Oh, yeah,
is problematic.
totally.
Oh, sure.
But I think it's like I ran into that I ran into that with the thing that I watched. I was having this delightful time. I was taking notes like I was going to have to do a freaking book report, and then we came to this one point in the thing that I watched, and I was like, oh my god, ow.
Yeah.
Ooh. And then like the piece of the text processed and I processed with it and
Yeah, I think for me it was important to bring up that it did have a diverse cast because it was also one of those things that I noticed. But yes, it doesn't undo the problem at the beginning, and there are other problems. Again,
did they have leadership and agency?
the female characters.
Did
Or
the
the
characters,
diverse characters.
Well, so when we say when you
So
say
the
diverse,
only white-
are you using diverse as a synonym for like black or Latinx?
Everything. So
Everything.
actually, so that's why I'm trying to do that. So one of the head engineers was black. The head scientist was a woman who was Asian. Like the only white guy besides Jason Statham was Rainn Wilson. Everyone else in the cast
Okay.
was diverse. There was a Latina on the like. That's why I'm saying that I kind of didn't forgive, but I almost forgot at first that opening scene because of how diverse the rest of the crew was.
The problematic beginning is softened by seeing the
Representation.
the representation in the cast. It's
Right.
it's the comfort I actually took watching Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. They're doing some nice diversity moments, you know, and not really like
I think it's I guess I get again like I'm trying to train myself to be hypercritical.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
like,
fine.
So it's like I don't want to go, oh well, they ticked a box and
Yeah.
that quote unquote counts. Like there's
Of course.
they've made some really interesting choices on Sabrina, but like the way that like and again
it's
like,
hot,
I'm not-
it's hot garbage, but
Oh.
at least there's different body types and different gender
There are
representations,
different- yes.
and I take comfort in knowing that I participated in it, even though
Yeah.
I think it is bad art. It's doing some good social things, you know. And
It
like,
is. It has.
and-
There's. Elsa S. Henry wrote a really excellent essay on the representation of blindness in like the way that they treat blindness,
Mm-hmm.
the way that the way that Roz is sort of deals with her blindness, the way that people react to her. It's again like everything is problematic, and so
Yeah.
I am trying to be a more critical eye. I am aware that everybody wants my attention. They like our attention is the last frontier.
Yeah.
Like, the whole reason that podcasts are becoming a thing and interactive is becoming a thing is because our attention is basically for sale. So I'm starting to get really I don't know. I'm trying to get rigorous about exploring all of the issues, even in the things that I enjoy, even
Yeah.
in the things that I love. And like I'm trying to think. I enjoy the OA, but the OA has a lot of issues. It does some
Yeah.
things very, very well, but like it was just such a relief to see, like you are the gender that you are, and people don't like when somebody there's a trans character on the OA who is met and respected as their gender, except for when a parent, like a parental figure, is refusing to accept them.
Yeah.
And like that's a deliberate look at something. But what I love about it is like everybody else is like, oh, of course, this is who you are.
Right.
But there's plenty of other stuff one could like. There's a lot of other white savior narratives, man.
Well, right, and that's why
Yeah.
I thought it was important, even though, again, I'm not forgiving that opening scene. They fought back hard in this movie, at least against the white savior narrative, that Jason Statham doesn't just always save the day all the time. There are plenty of times where he's in trouble and someone else saves him. And so I appreciated that, at least. And also, again, this is all stuff that I'm talking about because I'm noticing it. This is stuff that, due to my privilege, I missed in other things. And I'm sure if I go back and watch Jason Statham's older movies like The Transporter and things like that, there are so many problems in those. And I don't doubt it, but they were made when they were made, and it's
Is
nice
that the one where he throws the girl in the trunk of a car? Or he like drives across? Because I feel like I noped out on Jason Statham a long time ago, and I feel like it's because of that.
It might have been. I honestly haven't watched the first 3 Transporter
Welcome to
movies since
every
they came out.
conversation with your wife. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Sorry, not sorry.
That's great. I didn't like a thing that Jason Statham's character did once. I'm done with Jason Statham. I can't with him. The
it's
script said he did it, and I'm sad about it.
Isn't it amazing? And like, if anybody
It's so
knows how
very
to divorce,
wholesome in a weird way.
it's just the weirdest thing. Look, I'm an actor. I know the difference between fact and fiction. I like to think, but like sometimes it's just like sometimes if I see something happen and I associate the doing of that thing with that face,
Yeah.
I'm like I am.
I mean, it's what
to go.
happened to Baby Joffrey. I mean, he got to do one thing, and he's like, nope, 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 out, nope, bye. Everybody hates me as a person.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Well, that's also it's an issue with how we type actors, right?
Yeah.
It's fairly rare that you get like you do the thing. It is decided somewhere that you do that thing well, and then very often I think you're invited to do iterations of that thing, and people transcend that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great character actors certainly transcend that. There's a reason Margot Martindale is like, mwah. But it, that's not the path that a lot of people trod.
Well, right. And I think also for me, it's like there are tons of actors I've written off for less or more. So it's you enjoy what you enjoy.
Jason Statham, I know you don't really throw people in the trunk of cars.
Right. If you're listening, and thank you for listening.
But your face shape did it, and so now I'm uncomfortable with your face shape.
I mean,
That's
all that
all.
about him is you're talking about actors defying, like he was action guy for a while and then did some movies where he got to do some acting that were really great. And The Meg is another action guy, but you get to see him flex those muscles a little bit in like some hammy scenes with the young child actor I mentioned earlier who was a scene stealer in every scene she was in. She was great. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, The Meg as a whole, if you want to see a movie about a giant shark, you could do worse. I think.
Do you think Jason Statham is going to ever do like the Arnold Schwarzenegger equivalent of just like weird comedy where he is a kindergarten teacher?
Well, he's done a comedy. He did a spy movie with I can't remember her name now, but
Melissa
McCarthy. Yeah,
Melissa
he did,
McCarthy.
I think was it I Spy was the movie she did, or
I think
Spies
so.
Like Us.
But
something.
like
When
one
he
where
was-
he just is doing some like when Dwayne the Rock Johnson did the Tooth Fairy.
Oh, something.
You know,
like that.
something like that. Something that's
or
just
the pacifier.
that's
which
like
Vin Diesel did.
buck wild. Because I don't think Statham's done that, and I think it would be really funny to see.
I think so
I
too.
wonder if it would soften the trunk blow for Sarah.
So the trunk blow, like, while I've taken Screen Snark to a super serious place,
I love it.
If it is the movie that I think it is, somebody took me to see that very shortly after a sexual assault.
Ooh.
And if it is the movie that I think that it is, like, there's a scene of, like, he didn't think it through.
Yeah.
I didn't know enough to say I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And so, like, what it really is like, sorry, Jason Statham, but, like, I associate you with the first thing I saw after this horrible trauma.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, there are a million other things to watch, and I am not going back there for my own.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
Nope.
I don't.
Yeah.
And it, I guess it's also like why I'm fairly humorless about all that stuff. I'm like, that is a cheap and lazy way to tell whatever story you're telling.
Oh,
Sure.
absolutely.
I am bored of you.
Of course.
Yeah.
He also
No,
made that movie like 25 years ago.
It was cheap and lazy, then,
Right.
let's be fair.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
I try and give some actors the benefit of the doubt that they've had growth in their careers, but not all do.
Well, and
We
it's
know that
also-
for sure.
An actor, like, that goes into another, like, how responsible are you? You agreed to do the thing.
Right.
But what point were you at? How much agency did you have in your career?
Right.
Like, there's a lot to consider. And it's like, I'm not holding one actor personally responsible
can't.
for
Yeah.
an entire, but like,
Well, unless they're a shitty person outside the movies they make, then they're completely accountable.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think people at a certain level of stardom, like when you have agency and you have the decision making power and you're on offer and making choices, then I think you do have a certain amount. You have responsibility for
Yeah.
the content that you decide to put your name and your power
Yeah.
behind.
Absolutely.
When you're like. When it's your first or second time out of the gate, like we all make mistakes. I mean, do I wish that every like white male heterosexual actor in the world was really rigorous about the implications of the work that they did? That'd be great, but I don't expect it.
Right.
Anyway. Well, again, welcome to Life in Our House. I would tell you that most conversations aren't like this, but then I would be lying about what kind of an asshole I am.
But back to the movie about the giant shark.
Yeah, the giant shark movie thing.
Sorry, I derail.
It's
No, I
fine.
loved it. Oh, I loved it. Listen, I live for tangents.
That's true.
It's
Like,
great 'cause
it's
that's,
like
like, all I'm
becoming my
capable of.
thing. Like I'm into it.
There's a ton of internet proof that you like tangents, in fact, with many recorded ramblings that you've done in both music and non-musical form.
Yeah, musical ramblings. They're the best ramblings.
But to
So the
wrap
Meg.
Up, yeah, so to
Right,
wrap
the
up the
Meg.
Meg, 3-word review for the Meg. This one's tough because I want to work in several things that my brain is trying to do at once. Statham Shark Abs. Take that as you will.
Oh, now I have a horrifying mental picture.
Of a shark with abs? Sure.
Jason Statham as a shark with abs.
Thank you. That is exactly the mental
Yeah.
picture that I called up.
Yeah.
But that might have completely counteracted all the stuff I said before. So
Who knows?
Who knows? Sometimes sometimes sharks are the cure.
Sometimes they are.
Sharks with abs. For sure.
God.
Rachel, what's the most recent movie that you've seen?
Oh boy, howdy. This week I've watched quite a number of movies. But the literal most recent one I saw, and I'm just going to talk about it for like a second, was John Wick 3.
Oh, yes. You mentioned on your other podcast. That
Yes.
I heard.
Between doing that episode and today, I've been riding roller coasters and enjoying my vacation. Yeah, I went to Six Flags. It was great. So I haven't watched another movie since John Wick 3. I will tell you, watch the trilogy. It's very, very good. Weirdly okay with the fridging of the dog. It's very great because it's just this entire action premise for this whole thing is incited by this puppy, and it's so good. The John Wick trilogy is so very good. And I was unfamiliar with it at last the listeners hopped in, but when my mom came to visit, she like sold me on it, and the only person that can truly tell me what new things to watch is my mom. So thank you, Mama Shank, for that. But no, John Wick 3 is amazing. The first two movies are also very fun and very good. And yeah, I loved them.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves
Such
is
good
another-
trilogy. There you go. Such good trilogy.
Is that your third
Very
3-word
wow.
review?
Yeah, very much wow. Death murder, yay.
I've been wanting to watch the John Wick movies for a while.
They're so
and I have to
good.
get around to them. But I also
They're
just
hyper
love-
violent, but they're so stupid good. It's just like spectacle.
Well, I also really love that Keanu Reeves as an actor and a person has notoriously become like this meme of a nice guy who just
Yeah.
rides trains and doesn't bother people. But the fact that he's now also this badass action hero, because he's done action-y stuff before, but like
Yeah.
this trilogy has made him a literal badass, probably more so than even Neo in The Matrix. that I'm very excited for that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I want to see more of it.
For sure. I kind of think the John Wick franchise, the set of movies that will be John Wick, are kind of our modern day answer to the Western. It has this very like weird Western ideal of just like this lone individual, very like skilled, but like dealing in like the outside of this entire world of assassins. It's so good. The world building alone is worth the watch because it's such a fun world to just like have everybody be like, yeah, assassins, but we don't care. It's like weird magical assassin realism.
I'm curious. I will say that I've been curious about these.
It's so good. They're just like so stupid. I love them.
I also love like, and I guess it's like meme or rumor, like that Keanu Reeves does huge blockbusters so that he can like go out in the world and do good. I'm like,
Yeah.
that is an interesting story to me. And I do love weird, like I like tech, I like adventure, I like world building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also John Wick, I feel like, is the first original IP in a while that's not based on something.
Yeah.
But it's its own contained thing.
Really?
No,
I think
it's
so.
totally its own thing. I can
There's
just
not a lot of those.
imagine the elevator pitch for John Wick, the first one, where it's just like, yeah, what if this retired assassin who's very good at killing people goes out of retirement because of a dog?
It's
It just, it does.
It's so
it's like
good. And
Gross Point Blank,
yeah.
but if later.
But if
Yeah,
later, yeah.
but if later, and for a dog. And it's the first time in my adult life where I was like, I get it. I get why we had to kill this dog. And it makes me so sad because that dog is so cute. It's such a
guess
cute doggo.
I
And
mean,
it
that's
doesn't
probably the
deserve
point.
it. But like, if anything is like gonna get fridged, I'm not saying it should be a dog, but I understand it for John Wick. It gets a pass on the fridging trope because everything that happens after it is just so very good for movies.
Is the dog killed by somebody who thinks that this will like unmake John Wick?
I mean, I can say, is it cool if I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's like the son of the Russian gangster boss, like played by Alfie Allen. So
Oh,
Theon Greyjoy kills a dog, and Keanu Reeves decides that he and all his buddies gots to go. It's very good and probably very cathartic for 2014 because that's when we hated Theon Greyjoy.
Well, some of us anyway.
That's the time to hate him because that's around the time of some stuff when he's the most bad.
There's another thing where I was like, I loved the world building and I loved all the stuff, and eventually, I think it was like I noped out of. I wanted to nope back in. It's Peter Dinklage and dragons and ladies with agency sometimes. No, then I was like, my eyeballs only have so many hours.
Yeah, no, I'm sad that it has come to, with Game of Thrones, this very manga-esque moment of where, like, the manga is still being published and the anime just gets really, really weird and bad. And you're just like, I understand that you didn't have, like, a roadmap for this anymore, but could you have had better ideas, maybe? I don't know. Just don't at me.
I've been reading
DB&D.
some of the recaps, and I'm like, yeah, no. I'm like, characters I really enjoyed in the earlier seasons. I'm like, I mean, they deserve better resolution than they're getting.
They deserve better everything.
Yeah.
So far, like, everybody, it's just like, okay, we went just full Battlestar Galactica on this one, didn't we? This is going to be so unsatisfying.
See, but here, okay. I enjoyed Battlestar Galactica got weird.
Yeah.
It got weird. It got so weird.
Its
But, like,
entire, like, tone shifted.
But here's the thing. Like, I thought it was trying to, like, ask some weird questions about the nature of faith and belief.
Yeah.
And I went along for that ride going, this is super weird.
Yeah.
But, like, they were teasing out a really specific idea. And I'm like, okay, I'm along for this ride.
Yeah.
Reading the recaps of recent Game of Thrones episodes, I'm like, I don't get the same. I don't feel like there is like, even Sabrina
Yeah.
has a very specific sort of like worldview and bent, and it's got stuff it wants to mess with.
Yeah,
and
no matter
sometimes it's
how
successful.
ham-fisted or campy it is, at least it's got it.
It's got it. And I'm like, I don't see it here.
Oh, no.
Or what I'm maybe reading about is not a thing. I'm like, nah, it
No.
doesn't get me. I don't get it.
Yeah,
Or I
the
get
only
it, but I
reason
don't
I'm
wanna.
pretty much watching Game of Thrones in real time at this point is for Game of Thrones with Jonathan Van Ness. Like, that's it. Like,
Oh, I would watch that. I don't
Yeah,
have to
it's-
watch the actual show, right?
no, you don't. It's very, very good. It's by Funny or Die, and it picks up at the start of season 3 of Game of Thrones, and it's less than 10 minutes, and it's Jonathan Van Ness and like a celebrity guest talking about the episode of Game of Thrones, and the nicknames they have for these characters is so very good. There's like Mintage Via Pharaoh and Baby K Stew, Christina Aguilera, Sir Carlisle. It's very, very
Okay,
silly.
wait. Is Baby Case is Arya Stark Baby Case
Oh, yes. Oh, very much so.
Okay.
It's
And
very good.
so I think I feel like I saw the very first couple of episodes these many years ago. It's
Yeah.
good to know it's still
It's still
this is-
happening.
I'm an old and I fall in and out of what's actually going on in pop
Yeah.
culture.
I
Oh.
I shouldn't
never
blame my
watched
age on
Game
it.
of Thrones. I saw, well, that's not true. I saw the first episode and lost interest, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's the only thing in the nerd world where I go, I don't watch this thing, and everyone's like, how can you not watch it?
Well, look,
It's very simple, actually. You just don't turn it on, and then you don't watch
Yeah,
it.
you don't have an HBO account and you don't watch it.
I
There
do
you
want to
go.
go back about this and about the Meg. It's like it's also fine to like the things you like.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to say that it's not okay to like the things you like.
Yeah, and it's also
I'm
okay
just-
to not like the things you don't
Yeah,
like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so here's what I want. I want a world where like I can get, if there was like a newsletter that was like funny but astute Game of Thrones recap,
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest boards of all the fabulous world building outfits, animals, all the things.
Yeah.
And then a video link to Game of Thrones. That is how HBO, that is how you can win me back. That is
Yeah.
the content I want.
We'll get that right into Mr. HBO,
There you go.
because it's always a Mr., unfortunately.
Not true.
I feel
we
like
want it to
TBS
not
is
be.
probably like a Ms. TBS.
There are
That's
several
true.
misses, not enough, but there are some.
There's some.
More or
Let's not
less
erase
exactly
them.
what I was saying.
Yeah.
So for a refresher, what was your 3-word review of John Wick 3?
Such
have-
good. It was such good trilogy.
Oh, yes. It was such a
And-
good trilogy.
Death, murder, wow.
Oh, yes. Okay. I feel like they're worth restating. Cause
Yeah,
they're very
and
good.
then the third one. That was
Whatever.
probably dumb. It's fine. Case, good luck.
Yeah, Case will have to find it. That's
Good
on
luck,
him now.
Case.
Yeah. You'd think we'd make it easier for him, but we haven't, and we're
Yeah,
sorry.
no.
Sarah, what did you watch most recently?
So last night, largely because I did not want to talk about Endgame for people who haven't gotten around to seeing it yet, I decided that I really wanted. I wanted to watch "Won't You Be My Neighbor." I had never seen the Mr. Rogers documentary,
Oh.
and the world is a little bit of a trash fire. And I wanted to see somebody whose whole life was about trying to do good, and it was really a good idea.
Yay, I
It's a
love
nice-
that.
Yeah, it's a nice end to a. I was about to say Monday, but yesterday was Tuesday.
Yesterday was
if
Tuesday.
If that tells you
Shit.
how my week is going. And I totally took notes because I was like, I don't want to be inaccurate. I don't want to.
We're inaccurate all the time. We leave it on our
Well-
listeners, who call us out on it when we are sometimes.
I think.
Yeah. Thank
there-
you for calling us out, listeners.
Yes.
I can't wait till I get a load of me. Hi guys.
And gals and
And gals.
non-binary
I
pals.
was using a general term. All right. Anyway.
I haven't seen it yet. I was too busy finishing watching The Meg.
Spoilers,
so-
Mr. Rogers is awesome.
Well, right. Well, so like I remember seeing the trailers for this documentary and going,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I'm gonna watch that and cry later." But I imagine it was as wholesome as the advertisements led us to believe, and as beautiful as well.
I mean, it's wholesome, but not wholly like innocent. I thought
Of course.
it was phenomenal. So I think the idea. So I'm a rabbi's kid, so I'm always interested in stories of people who decided to follow like a religious path.
Yeah.
And he was ordained, and his ministry, like he started out in TV. Well, he was felt called to TV, then he went back and got his ordination, and then he went back to TV, and I just thought it was such an interesting path. And I am like very wary of proselytizing, but there was no like, the message was like, you are pretty flippin' wonderful. I am pleased to hold space with you. Let us reflect on how we can like hold empathy and compassion for one another. And I thought, man, like we could use some of that now. And it wasn't like all there were a lot of things that got like I came into Mr. Rogers when I was wee, and he had already been doing the whole Mr. Rogers thing for like a really long time.
Yeah.
He did it a very long time.
And some of the really revolutionary things had already occurred.
Right.
And some of the things that I think were a little bit tougher, like I think he came around to accepting queer identity, but
Yeah.
it is not where he started out. Like, which was a moment that I was like, oh, but then like the resolution to that sort of acknowledgement of how he and the show dealt with, see, this is why I have notes, because I need them. Officer Clemens, who was an opera singer. Like, I totally missed when Mr. Rogers had opera, and I'm totally going back. I don't care if it's a show for kids.
Amazing.
So Francois Clemens is gay, and I guess, like, he had gone to a bar, and Fred Rogers had, like, confronted him about it and was like, you can't really go. Anyway, they married him. It wasn't clear to me in the documentary. It's like they made him get married or he got married on the show, because there was so much of, like, right? I think it's like they married off his character, is what I think they were saying. And then the marriage didn't go well, and it ended badly. And they around the way, Fred Rogers came to understand that he was being really wrongheaded. And there's some beautiful resolution that Francois Clemens discusses in the film. And like that to me was as valuable as the rest of it. Like,
of course,
it's wholesome, but like, this is a guy who. The reason we have public television to a pretty big extent is because this really horrifying senator who was just like, told Mr. Rogers that he couldn't read his prepared statement. And so Fred Rogers kind of riffs on some moments of compassion that occur in the lyrics of one of the songs that he wrote. And like this clip of newsreel is in the film. The end of the senator's like, well, that's beautiful, and you've got your $20 million.
Wow.
Right? Like, he convinced, he spoke with empathy and compassion towards somebody who was being kind of a dick, and met him in a place where he could live, and like showed him something true and beautiful, and got him to open his mind a little bit. And I feel like I sound preachy, but I loved it. I learned so much about Mr. Rogers. Like, I took a lot of notes. I mean, he wasn't perfect. He did some stuff that was, but like, he did a bunch of beautiful stuff.
But I don't think I would be ever looking for him to be perfect. And the fact that the documentary covers that he did something wrong and then learned from it and like grew, like, what a concept that people can grow and change.
Yeah.
He tackles the documentary touches on like his imposter syndrome. Of all the people in the world to have imposter syndrome, like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
The way that he conceived of the world, the way that I would be so curious. He did a whole thing on superheroes after the original Superman came out, because like kids were tying like blankets around their necks and jumping out of windows and getting really hurt.
Yeah.
And so he did this whole thing, and it wasn't a lecture. It was like in the neighborhood of make-believe, one of the puppets like tries to leap out wearing it wasn't like a cape, it was something else. It's like a magical skirt. And I'm too old to remember names. Lady Aberlin catches her, like, then they have this whole exchange about like the difference between make-believe and reality, and how movies are pretend. And it's everybody that he spoke to on that show was spoken to with such respect. I mean, I'm sure there were moments behind the scenes, but like even the crew had like pretty fun and great things to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to like retell you the whole thing. This
Sure,
is
of
not
course.
I'm not a fourth grader giving a plot summary in lieu of a book report, but this is something I'm going to watch again and again because we need a lot more empathy and compassion, in my opinion, in the world right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been speechifying.
No,
So-
I love it. I love it. You've I mean, I was going to watch it anyway, but you've convinced me to bump it up higher on my list of things.
It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you think of it when you've watched it.
Totally.
Let me know. Yeah.
What would be your 3-word review of Won't You Be My Neighbor?
It comes with a story. So my 3-word review is 143.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm going to leave out there's like a little bit of a weight piece. Like that's what he weighed apparently most of his life, but that is not why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
I'm saying my 3-word review is 143 because it's the number of letters in the word I
Love you. I
right?
know.
And so that was like
Anyone who had a beeper knows that.
Yeah.
You would text your...
I did not have a beeper.
Well.
Now you know. I was not one of the hip kids. But so I thought that was so lovely. I love you. Grit does well.
Sure. You only needed one.
Resilience
Yeah.
is
Oh, you only
important.
needed
only
one.
did- you
I
only
just
did
went.
one.
I went buck wild.
No, I had one.
Yeah, he had one
We only
about
do one.
abs and sharks and
Yeah.
Statham.
Hey, mine are usually sentences, and so I went outside the box.
Yeah,
I forgot to come up with one before we started this.
We never
That's
come
why.
up with ours.
Okay.
No. Yeah,
Right?
We always,
Yeah.
We always suss it out. on
Yeah,
air.
a little
of the
inside.
adventure.
Yeah, a little inside baseball. I kind of like not knowing what I'm gonna say because it sort of is informed by what I have said on the show because you know you're your own unreliable narrator in things and like I experienced this thing. I'm not gonna try and label it ahead of time because I might change my own mind about something or really think something's super important when I go back to talk about it. That's why I love talking about movies because like
It's awesome.
you're reprocessing what's happening. So I like to stay off the cuff. Also, I never prepare for this ever.
Well, I think because it was a documentary, I felt pressured from myself to be like accurate if I was going to cite things.
Yeah.
I didn't take like notes on my opinion. It was literally like if I was going to do a research
I
paper.
love it.
These were my footnotes.
A book report on Peter Rabbit.
It's beautiful. I'd be curious to hear what you think. Like,
Yeah.
did you watch the show as a kid?
I did for sure.
So their avatar, when they talk about Fred Rogers, like in other aspects of his life, is an animated version of Daniel Striped Tiger, kind of walking through the world, and it is
Cute.
it's so lovely.
That's so sweet.
It's very sweet.
Oh,
Yeah.
it makes
we
my
need-
heart happy.
Yeah.
We need more wholesome stuff
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
world of people getting dusted and real life tragedy as well.
Can
Yeah.
I offer? So, it's a spoiler for the documentary if such a thing can exist.
Yeah, but
Eh.
it's based on someone's life.
Well, so
Yeah.
the end of the documentarians did this really interesting thing because Fred Rogers like shared that anecdote about like look for the helpers. We've seen the meme every time something
Yeah.
really terrible goes down, right?
Yeah.
So, the filmmakers asked everyone to hold space for like a minute, thinking about people who they love who have helped them to get to this moment in time and to become who they are, and the camera just sits with them.
Wow.
And so I think, I mean, we can't really do that in audio, but like it is the most powerful. Like that's for me when the tears started because of course, like you're watching people be truly vulnerable in that moment, and there's a lot of complicated feelings being had. It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Right. But what an interesting and necessary exercise to like hold space for people who helped you be who you are, because who you are is worthy of love. Like that to me was, we need more of that.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
So Sarah, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
having me.
Seriously, thank you so much. This is awesome.
I
Thank
wanted
you.
I wanted to
My
ask,
pleasure.
as someone who has predominantly, at least in the recent several years, been on TV a bit, do you look at movies differently than you look at TV? Because I know you watch a lot of both, but like when you're watching a movie, do you process it in the same way you process TV that you might prep for an audition or something? Or can you turn your brain off and kind of just enjoy things?
I watch a lot of that's an excellent question. Thank you. I watch a lot of television with the eye of somebody who was a writer's assistant for a while. So I'm like, it's not always, if a show is sort of procedural, my brain is like trying to track the A story and the B story. And like, I can sometimes turn it off, sometimes, but not always. I don't do that as much with films. I think I'm able to watch movies as story, like more purely than I think I can watch television. Like I've never done a film. I did a film for a friend's thesis project in college. And I think I did one in a similar vein in grad school, but I've never done film before in like the professional world sense. And so I think I look at it as like a critical viewer more than like this is a medium I hope to keep working in at least once a year.
I mean, but I think that's important too. You get hooked in these things. Like, again, going back to why I chose to watch The Meg, because after watching Endgame, which I don't want to talk about pretty much anywhere except in person with people, because I think those are the best conversations. Like, I needed something that was so far outside of a cinematic universe, a existing story. Although The Meg apparently is, I think, based on a book. Which I've never read and I don't even know the title of. But like I wanted something outside of that because I needed to let my brain breathe, especially after how much I went through with Endgame. You know, and so I think that, you know, it's nice to be able to kind of turn off your brain sometimes. It sounds like John Wick would actually be really great for that, of like just enjoying something and having it kind of wash over
it
you.
was such a weirdly good balm for just, you know, it's so ludicrous but so well shot and well stunted that you're just like, it's like watching wrestling.
Okay.
You know, but at least everybody who's working here like probably has health insurance.
Yeah.
You know, and it's ridiculous. I love it so much. I need you guys to see this trilogy.
I would watch it.
It's on our list.
It's so good. I'm sorry. I love it.
I realize now that like I'm listening to you, I'm like, no, I think I maybe watch movies a little bit similar to how I watch TV, because I'm like, because you're talking about like you need a moment, you've had this catharsis from watching Endgame, like you've seen this whole hero's journey through it, which I'm not quite like. I mean, that's Hero with a Thousand Faces, but like people have been talking about the relationship of the MCU movies to like modern, like as modern myth. I do respond differently if a story doesn't have like a driving action or a through line or a climax. Like if it's just character development on like endlessly, I'm like,
Well, yeah.
So do you need that catharsis? I'm asking, like, do you guys want that catharsis that you might have experienced with Endgame with most of your movies?
No.
Is
No.
any kind of catharsis like, do you expect to go through something when you watch a movie?
So for me, it's a balance. Like, I think one of the reasons I liked Us, as I spoke to in the last episode, is because there was this moment of lack of catharsis, of you were forced to think and not get a resolution. It just ends in the way that it ends. And like, that's just as valuable to me. I think it depends on what it is. Look, we have tickets to see Detective Pikachu this weekend, and so that'll probably be what I talk about on the next episode.
Me
and
too.
Yay, we'll talk about it together.
Sorry, not sorry. Detective Pikachu.
But like, that I know I'm going into, this is just going to be fun. I mean, also, like, I'm a big fan of Justice Smith. I love his work, and of course I love Ryan Reynolds because he's like a human cartoon character. But like, I'm excited to go into that because I know there'll probably be some bigger narrative and emotional moments, but for the most part, I'm going for the ridiculousness that it's a damn live-action Pokemon movie.
But there's still a plot.
Of course.
Like, they're still gonna take you on.
Yes, I need a plot in my movie. If there's no plot, I'll be like, why am I here? Unless it's a comedy. Comedies, maybe sometimes if the plot's a little wacky or non-existent, if it's still really funny, I'll enjoy it. But like, for the most part, I can't watch something that, like, all right, here's a good example. I grew up with Sonic the Hedgehog. I love Sonic the Hedgehog. The new movie looks like a trash fire. And will I see it?
I'm so sorry to the animators that are gonna have to work so much overtime
Made
to
me
fix
so
Sonic's
angry.
terrifying teeth.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, first of all, it's not the director's job to state that, and yet here we are.
Yeah.
But like with Sonic, like,
It's not the director's job to.
The director said, "We've heard you. We're gonna change all of Sonic's
Yeah.
look."
The interesting thing is to me, like that went through, like, think at that level, decisions a lot of times happen by committee.
Yeah.
Sure, but the animators who've been working to that artistic vision all of these
Right.
years they've been working on it, and now it's like, nope, that's garbage. You got to change it,
You have to change it all in like 6 months.
and in
What's
6 months.
Right. And that's unfortunate. What's amazing to me is that it got this far.
Well, right. Well,
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's mind-boggling
There
that
are
that we all went, those legs are awful. They're awful. And everyone's like, when they see him in real life, it'll be fine, right?
Honestly, the person I feel worst for is Ben Schwartz, who's a comedian and improviser who I really love, who's voicing Sonic, and I think is a great choice for the voice of Sonic.
Yep.
Although I want to bring back Jaleel White, who was him in the cartoons, because like, why not? He's still around. Yeah, Jaleel White was Sonic in the cartoons.
They
That's
whitewashed
ridiculous.
I mean, essentially, I guess, yeah. But, like, yeah, that movie I'll probably still see at some point, but I know it's going to have no plot and be a trash fire.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm someone who still enjoys the Super Mario Brothers movie, and that thing's terrible.
Yeah.
I know it's terrible, but I still enjoy watching it.
I think it just really depends on what you're willing to go in for. You know, I find it very easy to watch Disney musicals or old school, you know, like fluff, because it's the time to like turn off. Like for me, watching movies very, very often turns into like a form of like just checking out of the meat space and like going on an adventure. It's why I really loved the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's why I really like John Wick. It's just, I just like to have a moderately fun time, you know, like it doesn't have to be the greatest thing ever. You know, I watched Venom. It was fun. It's garbage, but it was fun.
It was really fun.
You know, it's just like and then when I'm like in the mood to see something that's gonna like shift my foundations or like rock my core, then I'm going into that film with that mindset, you know, like when I finally see Us, it's going to be because I'm in a position to be like, I am comfortable and I am consenting to what this film might do to me. You know, it's just, it's for me, it's that level of like, what am I consenting to after I come home from work? I'm going to consent to Detective Pikachu or to a YouTube review of The Greatest Showman and why it's garbage, because it is. And again, I weirdly love it. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't want to like prematurely end that topic.
Oh, no. You were gonna ask and I forgot.
What is your comfort food movie? Like, what do you go back to? Or is there something that you can watch like pieces of when you just need like a little endorphin hit?
That's a good question. Do you have one, Rachel, that you can think of off the top of your head?
Oh, man.
For me, growing up, a lot of the time, it takes me back to my deep love of Bruce Campbell and Army of Darkness as a movie that just, like, and I actually haven't watched it in quite a long time at this point. And so I think it holds up, but I'm not sure. But, like, that's a movie that's so cheesy and disjointed and ridiculous that I could watch parts of it, certain scenes, the whole movie. Mallrats was that for me for a long time. I used to watch without really thinking very much. You know, I think for me, those movies for me now, just like video games and other art, are things that I grew up with when I was limited to what I could have.
Yeah.
I feel like there are less new ones of those because we have so much access. I think the newest movie that was junk food like that for me was when The Dark Knight came out.
Yeah.
Because I watched The Dark Knight on a bootleg DVD over and over and over again because I couldn't wait for it to come out on DVD.
I said, it's interesting that you said you responded to junk food because I said comfort food. Do those words resonate any differently to you?
I consider it the same for this purpose.
I'm from the Midwest, so no.
Yeah, same.
my
So what are-
my comfort food is junk food.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say that they're the same, but I think
No.
in the mentality that you're
Okay.
talking about, it's the same. But it's
Yeah.
not, it's something that comforts me.
Yeah, what's
Junk
my-
food is a thing that comforts me.
Okay. I
What's
hear
my biscuits and sausage gravy movie?
There you go.
That's what it feels
Get
like.
real specific.
I think like those old 90s blockbusters, like I could revisit Face Off constantly. Like that's not a joke. I totally would watch that movie like all the time. I just really like weird action adventure. So like anything that's like gonna like pump me up or have good like fun fight sequences, like 99's The Mummy or Independence Day.
Oh yeah.
It's weird I don't watch as many of those like big blockbuster action movies. I mean, barring the ones with super powered individuals. But yeah, I always find room in my heart. It's like that you're clicking through the television channels and like you'll hit a movie and you're like, nope, I don't care where this is, I'm watching it. I also
Yep.
feel that way about Ghostbusters, the first one. Like I feel
Yeah.
like if that one like hops on my screen, I'm just like, well, I'm watching this. Or like weirdly Hercules, the Disney animated movie. Like
Nice.
other ones I'm gonna have to be like in the mood for, but that one I'm just like, oh, that's something. There it is. I think I've watched half that movie more times than I watched all of other Disney animated movies.
Nice.
I don't know why. It's just so breezy and stupid that I'm just like, okay, this is the equivalent of watching someone play a video game on YouTube for me. It's cool. It's fine. It's here.
What about you, Sarah? Do you have one or several
So
comfort food movies?
I think yes.
And are any of them recent? Because we just both discussed that ours go back further.
Yeah.
So I think here's
Nostalgia.
I think the trajectory and comfort, discomfort, like these are the places where I love to live. It was I feel like, well, I'm thinking of like movies that had a big impact.
Yeah.
Dead Poets and Labyrinth like unsettled me, but I loved them and I came back
yeah.
to them a lot. Into Newsies was the first real like that was a comfort food
Yeah.
movie. So Newsies, that Meg Ryan, Andre Brower, Nick Cage movie that was like a remake of some other movie, City of Angels.
Oh yes.
See, like
Andre Brower was in City of Angels?
I believe
I
that
don't
he
even
was. He
remember.
was like,
It's
yes,
been a while.
yes.
I believe you. It's been a while.
I will.
The only
watch
thing I
anything.
remember about that movie is Iris, the song by the Goo Goo Dolls,
Oh
Anything.
boy.
which is such a schmaltzy song. but
Oh
it's good.
boy.
That's it. It was about people. I mean, it was about finding vulnerability in love, which I think spoke to me a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
And also Andre Brower, for whom I will turn any channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's Moana.
Moana. Yeah, I feel Moana. Yeah.
And like, so if I come into it and I'll watch it wherever it's on.
Yeah.
If I'm queuing it up on demand in some respect, it is particularly the sequences involving the grandmother,
Oh yeah.
involving her grandmother, the sequences involving her like reckoning with the loss of her grandmother.
Yeah.
Like this is like specifically comfort food, right? Like
Right.
the way that it deals with death
yeah.
in an image and a music swell is so profound, and I'm like, oh, we're all like, it just, I feel connected and at peace when I watch that, even though it makes me think of my bubby especially and my grandma, but like it makes me think of my bubby and I get really sad, but then I'm like, oh, but it's like a comforting
Sure.
recollection.
Yeah.
But like I'm the same way. Like it's not a movie, but I'll sometimes listen to certain tracks off that soundtrack. I'm just like, I need this emotional connection right now.
Yeah, I think actually a movie that might be that for me once I actually own it is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because that's
yeah.
a movie that I saw multiple times. I've been wanting to see again. I did it with Thor Ragnarok a little bit too. Like I would turn it on and just watch the Hulk. The scenes where Thor and Hulk are trying to negotiate being in the same space after
Yeah.
they fought, like, I I think it's harder for me to just put something on with modern movies because
Yeah.
it's still a commitment now. You're not channel surfing anymore.
Oh, can I introduce you to my new favorite thing? And this is how I most recently watched Thor Ragnarok.
How?
I gave myself permission to just watch the bits that I most enjoyed. And so like I just fast forward 10 seconds at a time in the way that and so like the Taika Waititi bits, I was like, yes, come to me.
Piss off, Ghost.
Excellent comedy. All the Tessa Thompson bits.
Yeah.
And then like some of the early I would just kind of skip around and I'm like, it's fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
And I think I also watched, that's also how before we watched Endgame, that's how I watched Infinity War. I'm like, I do not need to re-experience this entire movie. However, there are some moments that I personally find deeply delightful.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not going to feel bad about only wanting to watch those.
That's fair. I'm curious how that whole and that's something that I may want to talk about on the show in the future once Endgame's on DVD.
Yeah.
Watching those two movies back to back is one
That's
feature.
that's gonna be bonkers. That's
It's
gonna
just-
be like
That's how they
Lord
shot
of the
it, though,
Rings,
right?
Return of
More
the
or
King
less.
level shit, and
Yeah.
it's not as good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Lord of the Rings, like that trilogy, if that wasn't a million years long, I'd watch it all the stupid time. And I did
Same.
when I was a teen, and I watched it with the commentary. I watched the extended editions of those movies with
Oh,
the
geez.
commentary with the actors. That's how much I love that fucking trilogy. Done.
I'm
That's my
waiting-
comfort for
So
sure.
I'm waiting to see here in this, like we still have DVDs, so there can be DVD commentary, but I'm like, where is the app at Build? Like, where is the app where I want to queue up Netflix,
Yeah.
tell my smart speaker of choice to queue up a Netflix commentary app, and I want it to be able to like, I want scenes in the movie to trigger commentary tracks. I don't
Yeah.
think we're there yet. I think that anyway, I'm not going to travel down that road.
I
but
think, it would be
possible.
possible though, because you can very easily in especially on the Netflix shows, you can play them with different language tracks. It would just be an issue of like setting the show to like the commentary track.
Oh, sure.
Because you can pick different audio and you can like change the subtitles and stuff. It would just be an issue of figuring out the logistics of how to even get that now.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it
or-
would be interesting to just have Netflix run commentary tracks.
Yeah.
But I'm specific. The nerd in me is just specifically like, as all of our devices start to connect in various ways, like, can there be handoff between my television and my smart speaker? And do I want that? That's a whole other series of conversations.
Yeah, it's true. For
Welcome to
now,
the stuff.
you've just got to queue up your like your smartphone or whatever, and then just mute your TV and be like and play.
Yeah. At this point, when there's no commentary track or I'm not aware, it's like I watch a movie with my laptop open or with my it's a really excellent movie if I forget to like Google things.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking up all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I live on IMDb especially with the movies I'm revisiting. Like I cannot help myself because I'm just like I want to know more about the making of this or like the interesting facts about the people who are in it or those who worked on it. It's why I love
Yes.
IMDb trivia shit. I'm just like, yes, please, yes. Tell me the story about this actor doing this thing right now. I'm into it. And I think it started for me because of the Lord of the Rings commentary, because there's something so charming about it because they like knew what they were doing and they knew that this was going to be like something and they were going to build this like weird extended almost art piece of just like here's everything about how we made these movies. And then there's a bit where I think it's all four of the hobbits, Sean Astin, Billy Boyd, Dominic Monaghan, and Elijah Wood talking about filming Weathertop and how Elijah just started like poking Billy Boyd and was like Tig, and then they started building this entire game up of like this Calvin Ball tag game and lied to one of the four of them and didn't tell them till like nearly done filming. They're like, Tig's not a real game. What? It's so good. And then just like fucking John Rhys Davies hanging out with Orlando Bloom and Viggo Mortensen talking about shit. And it's just like, I cannot with this. It's so good. It's such beautiful trash. I love it.
This is why I live for things like The Moth, where like the stories that people tell have to be true. 'Cause it's like, I love the little takeaways, the moments that stick with someone years after their experience.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
I think it lends itself to where we are as like consumers of content or whatever you want to call it, but like that human connection experience you mentioned earlier, Sarah, just our attention and our love for like podcasts. I think we also really love this like authenticity of just, here's a story of these 4 actors so far from like their home making this old book into a movie. What do you do to pass the time on set? You make up a tag game, you know, and it's just really fun. It's why I also like YouTube as a thing so much. Jablinski Games, which is Jack Black's YouTube channel. I cannot stop thinking about it. It's this weird intersection between like adoring a celebrity and just like a lifestyle vlog where you're just like, here's what Jack Black does on his days off or days on set or whatever. He's making YouTube videos with his sons.
Well, and the best part about his is it comes after Will Smith's, which I watch also, but it's very produced and very much like a TV show documentary. Whereas Jablinski Games is in the vein of what exists already on YouTube. Of just a random guy really excited about stuff. Like his From the Set thing on the new this Jumanji sequel. Like, it's just him with quick clips of different people on set, like, and
just hanging out in his trailer.
Hanging out. It's really brilliant.
It's so good.
And it's also produced by his oldest son, I believe. Does the filming, does the editing.
Yeah, Sammy edits it, which is amazing.
I do love things that remind us that all the people involved in making these films that we love, and there are so many people, are real human beings with lives outside of the things that we are given the opportunity to see. And I mean that like on and off screen. Like Matt knows like my favorite of any credits, and this mostly only happens in animated films. I love production babies. I have, and I don't know why. I think it's just, I love the acknowledgement that for better or for worse, anytime you come together to create something that's going to take you a long time, a community forms, even if it's like for the life of the thing that you're working on. Yeah. And I love the idea that like that whatever project that was being worked on, people considered their lives holistically enough that like nodding to the families they were starting along the way like mattered. It's the same with like the special thanks. It's like those are people who maybe didn't have a direct hand in what was going on, but like something they did contributed to this community that gave us this thing that we've just watched. Yeah. I love that. I like this. I sit through like, unless I deeply have to pee, because I'm human and I'm fallible, I will sit through the entirety of a credit sequence.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
I think it's so important to pay. Like, it's the only way we have to honor the people. Like, one of the only ways I think that we have to honor the people who did the work is to, like, read as many of their names as we can. Yeah. Yeah. And acknowledge that they were there.
I also really appreciate credits for that moment and for the opportunity to take a minute and really, like, marinate on what you saw, you know, like don't go right to your phone and like turn it on and see if anybody messaged you. Just like sit with the piece that you watched, for good or for ill, and sit with the people that made it and see them to the end, you know. I love sitting through credits. Like I do it for every movie I go see in the theater, you know, sometimes even if I really have to pee. I'll just be like, I'm going to hold it and I'm going to wait and give this their due, you know, because I don't want to go into the light again. I really do want to just like take the time and chill with it.
Well, and this is the thing that I have found really frustrating. It's like, unless I'm doing something wrong when I go to IMDb, like I don't necessarily think that everybody who makes it onto like into the credits has made it into IMDb, which on a level, like they're capturing cast, they're capturing the writing staff, the production, like the producing staff, the directing team, and like key department heads. But like when I was little and I would watch like Wizard of Oz, I was listening to I'm making this connection because I was listening to something on NPR not long ago about the woman who designed the makeup for the Wizard of Oz, who's like not credited, because at the time the tradition or the habit was only to credit the very male heads of a given department.
Yeah.
It's like scenic was one person, art was a person, hair and makeup might be a person, special effect, like, and so as a little kid, I did not understand that it still at that time took a team of people to make this happen.
Yeah.
I was like, how interesting, that's one guy's job. And it's like, I think, I wish that I had a way to tell or to know that I was seeing everything in IMDb, because I'm curious about that stuff. Like, I'm not just curious about the jobs that I have had the chance to do. I'm curious about the jobs that my friends and colleagues do. I'm curious when something sticks out, like I want to know more about it.
Yeah.
And it's not always accessible to me unless I do some real sleuthing, and sometimes even then. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Yeah.
More. Isn't it always we want more content? Everybody's got a story, at least one. And yeah. And I love a movie, but I also love the stories of the people who make the things that I love.
Yeah.
Or hate.
It's very
sometimes.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as long as they're having fun. I mean, who am I to be angry? You know,
it's like,
who am I to hold judgment against Sonic and his hedgehog friends?
Right?
If you know what, if Jim's having fun, who am I?
We do not all have to like the same thing.
No, we
that's
don't.
definitely true.
I think, there are some lines in the sand about stuff that is, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, we don't all have to like the same things. I think that there are things that are pretty awful in the world and I don't want to engage in, and things that I think that are wonderful and I want to engage in a lot. And somebody sitting wherever they're listening in another part of the country is going to have a very different set of likes and dislikes.
Yeah,
Sure,
and that's fun and that's rad, and
Yeah.
I think it's important to not only cultivate your own understanding of what you like and what you don't like and make decisions on that, but then also to like engage with people who might have a different opinion of the thing than you. Because you might learn something. I'm sorry to come back to Sabrina again. It's just been on my brain, but I do not like this show as like a structural piece. I think it's just really, to me, I think it needed like 8 or 9 more script passes. I just feel like there was some story structural stuff that I just could not get behind. I loved the casting and I loved the way they told certain elements to it. And I decided, instead of just like going on a rampage, just being like, I don't understand why this thing is so popular or talked about or lauded or whatever, I was just like, you know what, I want to hear what people who like this property think about it. And it's been really illuminating to just sit back and go like, why do you enjoy this? What do you find engaging or delightful or beautifully macabre about it? And it was way more fun than just having a bitch sesh about how I don't like the story structure, because then I got to hear people enjoy a thing, and that's always more fun when everybody's just like having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of the chest pounding, I hate this thing conversation. It's not fun anymore. And I see it a lot in gaming, and it's like, I get that you don't like this thing, or your experience needs to be your experience.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I also I don't have to accept your experience as mine. Mine should be able to exist on its own and separately.
Yeah.
But I think that's a brilliant idea. Like, often when I want to criticize something, I go and do that instead of asking what other people think about
It's
it.
an
And
excellent question.
it's a brilliant way to kind
Like,
of engage.
what did you like about this? Not even peppering it with, I didn't enjoy this, why did you enjoy it? Just like, hey, help me understand like your point of view. I think I wrote, help me see with your eyes and feel with your heart.
That's
Because
beautiful.
I watched 2 full seasons of it and will watch a 3rd season. Like, there's something I'm engaging with here, even if it's just like, this story though, like, this is what is happening. And it's just like, if I'm going to keep doing this, then I need to at least feel that somebody's having fun with it. You know?
The only reason I watched Riverdale and I've fallen behind on that one is because friends of the show, Mary Sin and Johnny Caligula, were talking on the internet about this show and talking about the most ridiculous stuff. And I'm like, all right, I have to.
I watched a supercut of Cole Sprouse just acting, and it's bonkers.
Which one is he?
He plays Jughead.
He's Jughead.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm a weirdo.
Oh, really?
He
Yeah,
says
that's a
that
shock.
line. It's so good.
Thank you for sharing that with me. Oh, that's a quote.
That's a quote from
Cole
the
Sprouse.
show.
It's
Yeah.
very, it's just, that's
He
ludicrous, and I
literally
love it.
quotes Radiohead lyrics, like same cadence and everything. It's
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
ridiculous.
Dry
So
wit.
good.
Okay. I love Michelle Gomez.
I mean, how can you not?
How can you not? And I mean, I do question people if they don't, but you're entitled to your wrong opinion, right? No, sorry. I love Michelle Gomez. I have a lot of issues. I'm curious about your structural issues with it.
With Sabrina?
Yeah.
It just kind of, it felt really off the rails in what they were doing narrative wise, like just like vacillating wildly on like the moral code of the world. You know, it's trying very hard to be a piece about equality and feminism and stuff, but they're sort of building it around a world that is so delightfully evil about like the oppression of the women in the witch society that it's like this weird like, ooh, we're the Nazis wringing our hands with cats, and it just feels so forced, and you're vacillating wildly between being like really pro the witch coven and really anti the witch coven, and it's just kind of like, I mostly just can't get behind like where I don't feel comfortable in the morals of the show. Like I don't know like what they're trying to say because plot's just happening a bunch and we're not really sitting with any one decision for any longer than the cliffhanger, you know? We're spoilers for Sabrina. We're supposed to love the aunts, but one keeps murdering the other. But we love the aunts, you know. We're best buddies with Ambrose, but then he's a piece of shit. And it's just like, not everybody can break bad, you know. Not everybody can break bad.
The Ambrose thing, I struggled a lot with.
Because I love his performance. I think he's fantastic, and the character of Ambrose is such a good addition to this family unit. You know, this older voice that's not quite all the way indoctrinated. Also, I have a lot of issues with how little they told Sabrina as a young witch growing up, and they just keep fucking surprising her with things. And they're like, let me explain to you about Mephisto and what that means. And it's like, you should know these things. They're going for this like weird religious overtone a la large organized religions, and the problem is inherent. But like, if you want a true convert to your religion, you tell them about your religion from a young age. You don't surprise them with their weirdo garbage when they're 16, you know. It's a
slow and steady. She knows so much about some things and then nothing about others.
Nothing about other things. It just can't settle on something. It's just like, we're gonna have it all, and then that means nothing to me. That's all.
No,
but it's fun. And diverse.
I didn't mean to jump in on like, it made me think of the way that they play on the bury your gays trope, but the gay they bury is like somebody who we neither, I think, are meant to like or empathize with in any fashion, and but he means something significant to Ambrose.
But he's also a witch Nazi.
But he's also a witch Nazi.
What?
And it's like the witch and the patriarchy and then the Nazi stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. It's trying to do a lot. And also like, anyway, it is trying to be everything all at once.
Yeah, it's trying to do a commentary that is like very pro-feminism, but then you just watch these women characters like shit all over each other all the time, and it's just like the misogyny is coming from inside the house.
It is. It really is.
And I cannot help you.
I'm taking back the bury your gays because it does not apply when you're a witch Nazi. You just deserve what you get when you're a
Yeah,
witch Nazi.
when you're a witch Nazi, like, come
And
on.
that, I was just there was plenty
It's-
of darkness to explore
Yeah.
when it's not Nazis.
Yeah.
And I living here in 2019, I am really okay when I'm watching my fictitious television
Yeah.
when I don't have to engage with like witch Nazis, frankly.
Yeah. And also there you can have a delightfully demented evil character, and you can also have like a grounded, they believe they are the true hero of the story,
Yeah.
bad guy. But I feel like the main, like the head priest is trying to do both, and like it's swiveling so fast between the two. It's like he's just trying to do what he thinks is right for his community, but also he's a witch Nazi. But you know what? He loves his son, you know, and it's just like you're not Cersei Lannister, okay? You're just not.
By the time you go full fascist, it's like
I don't care.
I don't know. I think it's hard. It's hard to ask anybody to try. Like, by the time you're trying to like internally tussle with what does it mean to be a fascist,
Yeah.
I think you are maybe appealing to a demographic that I don't feel comfortable. I don't particularly want to have anything in common.
Yeah,
with. And that's maybe
I don't
something
particularly enjoy the storyline where you legitimize your bastard daughter, and it's like gonna ingratiate you toward her even though you're awful all the time, and so it makes her like also do this weird moral swivel of just like, I love my dad, he's a bad person, I like, but it's not I'm conflicted about it. It's I choose to do this one thing arbitrarily because my dad was nice to me, or I choose to do this other arbitrary thing because I'm an independent woman, you know. It just
parental manipulation of children is certainly like an interesting road to go down.
it
But,
absolutely
like,
is.
the fact that he won't acknowledge her as his is so, there is just, it's like pick a problem, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I need to watch it again to go down. We can do a sidebar.
We could do an
special on-
entire deep dive on the chilling
And-
adventures of Sabrina.
and I totally would. There's a lot I enjoy.
Yeah.
And a lot I struggle with. And
Like, let me
and
sit in those good things, because there's some really cool ideas that you're playing with, but you switch them so fast. You know,
And
like
you-
we never sit with, Sabrina murdered someone, but it's okay because they're resurrected. But it's never like, Sabrina murdered someone. Can we really
Yeah.
talk about that?
And can she sit with that?
Yeah.
And also it's like,
But now
you can
she's
tell-
witch messiah. Okay.
Now she's
What?
witch Jesus. What's up with that?
What?
Yeah.
And then she's only witch Jesus for like an episode and a half.
And also I need to come back to like, the show does a lot of very interesting things, and it does some things with a fair amount of like careful consideration and sensitivity.
Yeah.
And then it's like then we come back to Roz, like the presentation of blindness as a curse, and the idea that that a disabled life is somehow not worth living, and that being shipped off to a place that fundamentally exists to help people learn how to live in a new way
Yeah.
is like, oh, I mean, all credit to Elsa S. Henry and her brilliant writing. For really, like, it made me feel squicky when I watched it.
Yeah,
And then
it just-
I read what
it's-
she wrote about it after watching it.
So-
and I'm like, yeah.
It's so strange that they can deal with that subject so poorly, you know. I think just this very like weird idea of like trying to essentially other this disabled person, you know, but then have such this like empathetic and nuanced approach to the Theo plot line.
Yep.
It's again, it's like, where are your morals on this? Because like you have the capacity to be really empathetic and to tell a story about someone that doesn't come off preachy or like hyper vigilant about being woke. This was just really lovely. This storyline and the non-binary actor you've selected to represent this storyline is so well done. Why did you have to go so wizened blind person for the other character?
Well, and why do you present that as a curse.
Yeah.
It's and yeah, there's a lot in there.
There's so much to
in
unpack
there.
with Sabrina.
And I think it's in this. It's not okay, in my opinion, to write to a lived experience that you do not share unless you make it abundantly clear, preferably by paying someone to consult, that you've done the homework. And I think it's clear, like, as they did a lot of homework to my eyes, and I'm saying this as a spectator, I suppose, as an outsider to this. Like, they seem to have done homework with the Theo plotline and completely ignored it with the Roz plotline.
Yeah.
And it's like, and
I feel like a lot of the problem is it is assumed that blindness is not something that needs to be handled with care or consideration anymore. It's been this plot line, this trope almost, in our cultural zeitgeist for so long. I think they just got lazy and were like, blind, it's fine, whatever, who cares, like, you can't see, plot twist. It's less about the
it could have been a lot more, is what I come back to. Like, it could have, and I get that they needed to use it for whatever reasons they needed to use it for, or wanted to use it for, but we are all being asked to consider our language and the way that we tell the stories that we tell little bit, with a little bit more consideration, which I think, and when I say we, in this case, in this context, I mean story, like, if you want to tell a story, if you want to be a storyteller, we are collectively being asked to be conscious, which doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean that we all want to tell all the stories all the time.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that we're going to start, ignoring the storylines that we don't feel equipped to tell. Like, we're going to seek advice.
It's important to seek advice and to be careful to interrogate, like, if it seems like, I mean, this is a case where also, like, having a multiplicity of voices in a room is so important.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you can really tell watching, and I think I watch a lot more television now than I watch movies, I realize, in preparing for this. Is like,
agreed.
And I think one of the reasons that I do is that I'm curious about the process of storytelling in television, but also I feel like unless I'm watching a specific movie made by a specific person, like, I'm fomenting this thought as I'm speaking aloud. Pardon me. I'm listening to how the story I'm watching is being told. And if it becomes abundantly clear that there's not a bunch of different voices in that room, I'm watching it differently. And I'm maybe not giving it as much of a chance anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not that, like, oh, like, white guys can't write TV, or white women can't write TV, or cis people can't write TV. It's just, or able-bodied people can't write. Like, nobody is saying that. But if you're touching on stories about, like, lives and bodies other than yours, it's helpful to, like you're saying, it's helpful to consult somebody else.
Yeah.
And
put a team on it, get the spectrum of this experience before you think that you have the skill to write about it, because you can consult with one person whose story is that they are non-binary, and you're going to get that person's story. You talk to another person who is also non-binary, you're going to get a completely different story. Like, research the hell out of the things you want to do that aren't yours to tell. Like, just do that, or hire or it's like, it's also an excellent again, never tick a box to tick a box, right? But, like, if we can make a conversation better by including more people in the conversation, giving more people seats at the table and agency, and learning the joy of passing the mic, like, that is a thing. I think one of the things I'm looking for and I'm listening for a little bit more is, like, I want to hear voices that I want to learn. I want to hear about voices that don't sound like mine. I want to see myself represented when I see media, which, like, I have Melissa McCarthy
there's whatever. I want to see myself represented in things, but I also want to see other people represented in things. And if it's just a lot of the same stuff all the time, like I tune out. I feel like I'm blathering a little bit again here, but there's so much content in the world right now, and there are some story, like, I think it's okay. It's okay that every story is not every person's to tell.
Yeah.
And I think that that's okay. I think that there's a lot of joy to be found in figuring out what are, not that we can't use our imaginations, but people are really speaking, like, of all stripes and walks of life and lived experiences, are asking to tell the stories that matter to them. And I feel like holding space for that is critical. Passing them anyway.
There's no reason to not leave that space and to give people the opportunity to tell those stories.
Pass the mic and get out of the way. I'm figuring out what that looks like for myself.
Sure.
I think we all are. You know, anybody whose mission is to create something that's going to be shared by other people. You know, whether you're writing a television script or a novel or a song or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
I think we as a culture of creation, of building things, it's up to us to do the research, to sit down and like do the consultation. It reminds me, we're like an hour 30, but if we have time, I did this really cool table read kind of experiment where we took scripts of old sitcoms. I did the pilot episode of Frasier for this, and it was a room full of everybody, you know, and we just like drew the roles at random, and so it didn't matter that Frasier was being read by me or that Roz was being read by another woman. It was so cool, and we all just sort of like sat down and like talked about how it felt different hearing these lines of dialogue spoken by different voices, and like the jokes still land and it feels okay. Like Frasier Crane is fine if it's a girl, or anyone who's none of them or all of them, you know. And it was so cool to like sit around a table and take a piece of media that was so inherently like straight male white and hear like queer, femme, non-binary voices do it. It was so fun and so fascinating, and I would love to do more of that kind of stuff, just like weird roundtable discussions. Like, let's get more Algonquin roundtables happening again, where we just like sit down and like break down the world and just like talk to people. It'd be so weird. I'd love it. Sarah and I are going to fix the world, Matt. That's the lesson
Fine
here.
by me. I've mostly been quiet because I haven't watched yet another thing we were talking about on this episode.
Spoilers for Sabrina.
I have zero experience with the new Sabrina.
It's okay.
Didn't interest me. And clearly it sounds like I'm missing some things, but not that much.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I'm going to fix things by sitting down a lot, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do whenever I can in any situation to sit down, shut up, and get out of the way. But it has been a joy to have you on the show, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah.
For joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
For
this first and only time you will ever let me talk this much on your podcast.
That's not true. The only one putting you down is you. But that's okay. We all do it. We're all artists.
It's
here,
okay.
Right?
Next time we're in a dance studio, I'll just make you go like full queer eye and write nice things about you on a mirror and have you stare at it. That's like my new plan. I'm just gonna like
this was
be my own Fab Five.
But before we wrap up and give you our final question, we have some thank yous and considerations.
Yes, we do. Thank you to John Presnell for letting us use the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Also, thank you to Katie Bug for our incredible logo that we love so much.
It's fire.
It is fire.
Beautiful pink fire.
Katie Bug!
Yeah.
So, Rachel, will you please now ask our final question of our guest?
Yes, Sarah.
Yes.
There are many just hackneyed tropes in the world of film and television, of of the visual mass media and its storytelling. If you could choose one of those copious tropes to be true in your life, what trope would that be?
Oh my God, that's an excellent question. And I wish I had read up on my tropes. Let me think.
I always try and think of like what trope I would choose asking this question, because I know we've done ours, Matt.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to think of like what mine would be, like as we grow and evolve and change.
I mean, my go-to is always a good montage.
Yeah.
Like, instead of actually learning to do something, having a montage of learning to do
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
is always good, because then half the work is done in the montage.
That
I
would be
think
great.
mine now, like you say montage, but I think mine would be like the ability to just like break into a song when I like feel things like too much, and it's just like now I'm singing about it. And I know that's more like a musical trope, but they do it in movies.
Oh, I would love it if my life could be a musical and I could break into amazing chart-topping songs
like,
whenever
yes,
like I
I'm
needed to work through
feeling it.
something.
I'd love
Yeah,
it.
that would be great.
Yeah.
That or like like a travel montage, like going on an
Ooh.
adventure,
With
getting
like
to see
the red line on the map.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I want all air travel to just be a red line on a map.
I mean, it would be
I
way
want
easier.
train travel to be like more. I want to be able to see scenery the whole time.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
for sure.
I play too much Ticket to Ride. That's what you've just
Listen,
learned about me.
if we like keep pushing toward like that new Green Deal, we might get to ride more trains, and that's
Yay!
not a bad thing because trains rule. I love trains.
Trains are really awesome.
Yes, I
Trains
want to
are like
shrink
trains.
myself down super tiny and ride my trains, and that's another Lemon Demon reference. You're welcome, internet.
Shout out to Neil Cicerga, who will never listen to this podcast.
That's
Someday
okay.
I want to read up. I want to like. I think more about like what tropes make me cranky. So I want to read up on tropes I like and come back sometime.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
absolutely.
you know what? Celebrate it. You know, tropes are real in
Yeah.
real life.
Sure, of course they are.
Tropes are real in
Trope.
real life. Why not?
I
Just
want to
have fun
my
with them.
favorite. Is it a trope? Does it count as a trope? The nerdy person in the action show who like is the scientist or the tech head or like the person who just has a lot of the exposition.
Yeah, that's totally.
Yeah, that's definitely a trope. Like
I
this,
want that trope to be true in my
like
career.
expositional scientist. I like expositional Ian McShane. That's a very good expositional trope now because he does it all over the place.
I
True.
would like the trope to be. So here's a trope I want to be true in my life:
Uh-huh.
expositional Polly Perrette or expositional Ashley Johnson.
Yeah.
I would like that trope to be true, not just in my career specifically.
Okay,
Yeah.
put it out into the world.
I love that. Send it out there. Love it.
Thank you again, Sarah, for being on the show.
Thank you,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
I, of course, have been Matt, aka Stormageddon,
I have been Rachel Quirky Shank.
and we will see you at the movies.
Aurora, 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 metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
We've made difficult decisions.
And there are still more ahead of us.
2 people aren't enough to save the galaxy.
We need the toughest,
Smartest.
deadliest allies.
We need you.
We need you to join us.
And listen to Reignite.
A certain point of view podcast about storytelling
Love.
and Mass Effect.
Join us every other Thursday as we fight for the fate of an entire galaxy.
You can find us everywhere you get your podcasts.
Or at certainpov.com/reignite.
We're counting on you.
We should go.